Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are sharing their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, and I'm excited that you're here with us. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're really excited to have you here. Please stay to the end because we're going to share with you a gift. And I'm, diving into this conversation today. I've been talking a little bit behind the scenes with my guest, and it's going to be awesome because has a journey of entrepreneurship, and I'm excited to learn more about him and his company. So without further ado, welcome Chase Henderson with Economic Recovery Center to the podcast. I'm excited to talk with you, Chase.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show, Heidi. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you're a fellow Floridian. So this is a bonus gift for me today. I don't really talk to a lot of Floridians. So it's exciting to, and you're right across the state from me.
Well, right across the state.
The other coast. Yeah, the other coast. So Chase, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Economic Recovery Center, and your role within it?
Sure thing. So hello, my name is Chase Henderson. I am the president of Economic Recovery Center. And Economic Recovery Center was built to help businesses who've been impacted by natural disasters find funding so that they don't have to close their doors. Because according to some stats from FEMA and the SBA, 40% of businesses who are impacted by a natural disaster never open their doors again. And then an additional 25%, so the ones that open, 25% of those, will end up closing their door within the next 2 years. And a lot of that has to do with either improper planning, so they didn't really plan ahead for the disaster to hit, which fair enough. It's kind of one of those, oh, it'll never happen to me type of scenarios. Right. And the other part is funding. So not having the capital on hand to be able to kind of keep yourself afloat after a disaster hits, whether it floods your stores or it interrupts your supply chain. Whatever it is, that's where we come in. We help these businesses navigate different funding programs so that way they can continue to keep their entrepreneurial dreams alive.
So it inspired you. We're in Florida, and I know we've been through a lot of, disasters in the past few years. So I'm guessing I know the answer to this question, but can you share with us what the inspiration was for you to start this?
Absolutely. Well, I think you guessed correct. It might have been a natural disaster. I'm not sure. It was Hurricane Ian, actually. Yeah. That came through. You remember Hurricane Ian. I'm pretty sure you guys got hit with a little bit of that as well. But ground zero for Hurricane Ian was Southwest Florida. And it was one of those storms that was a once in a 100-year type of storms where it was, I want to say 70 or $80 billion in damage from that storm alone, just in the state of Florida. And it was something where it was like out of a movie. I mean, honestly, you went inside and you kind of like stayed in during the storm. And I grew up in Southwest Florida my whole life. I've been through natural disasters and hurricanes and stuff, and I've watched them. And then as kids, we'd go outside and play right after they were gone or right before they were there. It was not a big deal. This one was different. It was, I was at least 20, 30 minutes inland from the disaster, and I'm watching our windows, like hurricane-resistant windows, just flopping around like this. I was like, oh boy, yeah. So it was scary. And then stepping outside the next day and seeing the carnage, it was like something out of you'd see it out of one of these, right? Yeah, exactly. It looks like a war zone. And I remember driving down to Fort Myers Beach specifically, and all of these businesses and shops that I remember seeing as a kid were just either piles of rubble as if they never existed, or they were just gone, picked up and blown away. Wow. And it was heartbreaking. And to see how many people were living in just sewage and dead fish all over the streets and boats in the mangroves, it was horrifying. I was lucky that where I lived at the time, we were relatively unaffected. There were a couple trees down, but nothing too major. So I was very, very lucky. But we were like, we got to help these people out somehow. So me and a couple of family friends got together, nothing too crazy, raised a couple $1,000, and we started getting food and water and supplies to all of these kind of lower income communities, wherever we could help, right? Yeah. And luckily, we weren't the only ones that thought that. There was, in some of these communities, it was like a parade of just trucks and utility vehicles just giving. It was beautiful. I mean, through the ashes of disaster arose just nothing but love for the community. And it really was amazing to see. But as the months started to go by, there was a group of people that really wasn't getting any help whatsoever, or at least it didn't look like it. And it wasn't based off of socioeconomic class. It wasn't based off of race or gender or whatever. It was business owners, businesses that I grew up going to all the time. I mean, specifically, there's like this one donut shop that's like one of the best donut shops in the world. Like world renowned.
Wow.
Gone. Poof. Because it's just they didn't have the money to stay open. And there were a couple other coffee shops downtown. Boom, gone. They didn't have the money to stay open. A couple of restaurants. Boom, gone. You have a couple of mom and pop utility hardware stores. Boom, gone. It just one after the other, after the other, after the other. And you're sitting there going, who's helping these people? Like there has to be somebody or something out there that's designed to help these businesses. And so I come from an entrepreneurial family. My dad, longtime CEO, he's built multiple companies, gone public, he's done all this stuff. So we kind of came together, meeting of the minds, and we're like, hey, let's try to figure out what's going on here. And we figured, because of what we saw, that there was nothing available for businesses. Nobody was out there trying to help them. And that was the complete opposite. It's very surprised, because there are organizations out there who are there to try to help businesses, specifically local government branches where their whole purpose is to help businesses.
Right.
The problem now lies is that not that there isn't anybody out there, and not that there isn't any money, because there's billions of dollars in recovery funds available for businesses. They don't know how to go through the process. Yeah. Businesses, Tony's Pizzeria knows how to make pizza. He doesn't understand what a PFS is, personal financial statement. He doesn't understand how to submit something to the SBA and understand that if you don't respond in time, you're done. So being able to bridge that gap of financial knowledge and government ease into plain English for the average small business, that's where we realized, oh, there's a huge gap there. Let's fill that gap. And, to be honest, I thought we would get kind of some resistance from some government bodies or local government or state government, whatever, open arms. Because they realize it's like, there's a lot of ways that we're restricted in what we can or can't do, but the private sector can really help a lot. And so we've essentially become a packager, a communicator, a translator, an advocate, a business advocate for these small businesses after disasters to make sure that they're getting exactly what they need at the time that they need it most.
That's awesome. And you're like a welcome middleman for the government too, because they're we want to help the private sector. We just, like you said, their hands are tied in certain areas too, and they're limited. And then, Tony's Pizzeria, like you said, he's really good at making pizzas. But when times are tough and these disasters happen, and all of a sudden one day looks completely different than the day before, and now they're like, we don't even know how to keep our doors open. What do we do next? They feel their only option is to close them. So I love what you're doing, because I'm in Florida. I saw what happened to you all over there. Granted, I wasn't in it, but I had people come over. I had 6 people in my home for the hurricane from Fort Myers when this was all happening. Wow. They left at like 2 a.m. in the morning, deciding we need to get out. And they came here for 6-7 days. So, and some of them went back to nothing. And I still think from what I understand, they still don't have their home back yet. So it's a journey. So for those of you listening, and at this time that we're talking, this episode probably won't air for a little while, but just for you listening, when we're recording it, the devastation in Texas just happened. So they are still recovering people from that tragedy. We're still in the midst of looking for, I think, 6 or 7 more people, which is horrifying. And when I was watching that, I was thinking about Florida and you all over there too, because you're still in the recovery process. Things are still not, we had shared behind the scenes when we were chatting, there's still people living in tents years later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely hasn't helped that there's been 2 other major hurricanes that have hit us since then. So
since then. Right.
I mean, the most recent one, my house flooded. So like I had to move. Wow. So it's, it's, we've been going through it over here.
And people love their home. It's not as easy. Yeah. Some people are like, well, why don't you just move? It's not that easy. I was born in Miami, grew up in Boca. Live in South Florida. We're used to this. Yes, we're going to get hurricanes, but we always, like you said, resiliency is there. We rebuild. We come together as community. We surround each other with love, and any issues there were the day before, all of a sudden are gone, because we're all on the same playing field. And now it's just like, let's come together with love and community and unity, and let's rebuild together, which is beautiful. but it's also like, why do we need to go through this to make that happen? But that's a whole nother
Yeah.
conversation. So let's talk about ERC. So Economic Recovery Center. So how does the ERC model help small businesses and communities recover faster after disasters? And what's the most misunderstood part of disaster relief funding?
Yeah, so I think what makes us different is that we can go fast, right? So when you are working with, the let's say with the economic injury and disaster loan program. There we go. That's a specific loan through the SBA, 4% loan, 30-year term, don't pay anything the first year. It is the best money you're going to find anywhere. When you're going through that program, there are government agencies and private, public, non-profits that can give you the first steps. But as far as the speed to kind of like answer your questions when you want them answered, and then also do the steps for you, they're kind of restricted on that, right? So where we come in is that we can actually we do a lot of the work, right? We do a lot of that packaging work. We take the time to sit down and explain. One of the biggest questions we get a lot, even from some of the government agencies that I've met with, what is a PFS? It's a personal financial statement, just listing out, here's everything here are your assets, here are your liabilities, and then this is what you can use as collateral if the loan's too big. Very basic, but most people don't know. I didn't know what that was until we got into this, right? So like most people don't know what that is. So being able to sit down with somebody and actually explain what each and every part is all about, what each and every document is for, and then actually helping them to do the work, it makes things a lot faster. Because when you're working with a government agency, not to knock them, they're being inundated with tons and tons and tons and tons of requests from multiple departments, and then they have their own bureaucratic way of going through a decision-making process. Whereas when you're working as an entrepreneur, go like you just go, you start hitting the pavement. So that's where we really kind of shine, because you're looking at most businesses who go through that EIDL process, like I mentioned, most businesses who go through that, it takes them about 9 to 12 months if they're successful. For us, it's anywhere between 2 to 6. So
Wow.
in 6 is where like your situation's really messed up and we have to talk to the IRS because you haven't paid taxes for 4 years. So it's we have a bit of a range there, but it's significantly shorter than if you would have had to go through just yourself in the government agency. Because a lot of times with these programs too, you're kind of working on their schedule, not yours. So if you submit something to the SBA, you don't hear back from them from 3 weeks, but then they finally message you within their online portal and they don't hear back from you in 24 hours, they'll knock your application out. It's actually insane how little applications that go through the SBA actually get to an officer because of something like that. It's ridiculous, but it's those small little things that we keep our eyes on and we're able to answer your questions pretty much whenever that allows us to go faster. It really just comes down to attention to the customer. That's it. That's really our secret sauce.
And like you said earlier, like with Tony's Pizza, like Caroline's Card Shop they don't know what they're doing, right? This
No
is
idea.
not their wheelhouse. So they can easily miss an email.
Mm-hmm.
And then that timeline, and then boom, they're bumped out. And it happens all the time, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
So this
happens
is, yeah.
way
So
more than you would want it to happen.
yeah. And you guys know what you're doing. So it's really important that, like, I love that we're having this conversation. And I hope we're going to definitely be pushing this out and asking all of you to share. So those of you listening, get ready, because we're going to, there's so many disasters happening right now. Like we just said, Texas happening, Florida is still recovering, not to mention other states, North Carolina, all the other states that are going through stuff. They need to know about this opportunity and these services, because we get to help the whole. I was just telling Chase, the passion behind this mission, this project of this podcast is to help more businesses keep their doors open and succeed within 5 years versus fail. And these disasters, when they happen, don't help us help with those numbers. So Chase, can you tell us what are some real world success stories where your services help turn crisis into opportunity for businesses, business owners, or local economies?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when it comes to specific businesses, there's one that comes to mind immediately. It is a women's sportswear manufacturing company. So they make sportswear for women. They had just moved down to our area from up north, and they do a lot of manufacturing at international. And so they had just come to our area and they had moved into their brand new facility. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks right before Ian.
Wow.
And Ian came through and completely disrupted. I mean, their building was fine, so that was great. No flooding, no none of that. But their entire supply line was just taken out instantly. And so they were just going through a move. That's expensive. And now they have this disaster, and their supply lines are down. That's expensive. Luckily, they did have a back end team where they did have some financial competency there. So it was actually really easy to work with them. They come from PwC and all the big top consulting firms. But they were in a bind. They're like, oof, we don't know if we're going to be able to keep this shop open. We don't know if we're going to be able to keep this facility open. We may have to move back to our old facility, but that's expensive too. We really don't know what to do. And we were lucky that we met them at a local networking awards event for like awards for the top businesses in Southwest Florida. And we were sitting at a table, kind of explaining what we did, like, oh, please come in and show us what to do. And they understood some different financial avenues, but nothing that was specifically geared for businesses after disasters. And then helping them go through that process after Ian, they were able to then go through that process again with significantly much more confidence for the next two hurricanes that came through, able to keep everything running smoothly, because they had just brought on another marketing firm to do their marketing for them. They had hired on new people. They weren't sure if they're going to be able to pay all those people out. They've been able to grow their team ever since, and now they're absolutely crushing it. I mean, they're miles and miles ahead of where they said they would have been before. So that, leaving out names and everything, but that's an example of somebody like they were really in a bind, because you don't expect that when you're moving and making that big expense of taking your main place of business from one place to another. Oh, it's a lot of expenses. No, there's not going to be any other expenses on top of that. There's no way. Boom, one of the worst hurricanes to come through the U.S. So these things will hit you at any point in time. And so that was one big one that we've had in that regard. And then as far as government collaboration, that's been more so recently. So we have been working especially close with the new EOC, Emergency Operations Center, here in Lee County, and they're putting together their disaster recovery task force as a collaboration with the private sector, because they have also voiced frustrations with us even about like FEMA, like just not doing what they need to be doing as fast as they need to be doing it, or they're just not doing things, period. So even they voiced frustration. So they've taken it upon themselves, and I'm very proud to be in this county because of that. They've taken it upon themselves to incur a lot of the expenses to build the infrastructure that's needed in order to make disaster recovery smoother and faster afterwards. So absolutely, shout out to them. They're amazing. But now we're starting to work with them on a private side to be able to be a part of their task force during blue sky and gray sky scenarios. Blue sky meaning there's no disaster, gray sky meaning there is a disaster. So we are starting to build relationships in that respect.
Oh, this is so good. I love everything you're doing. So let's talk, Chase, a little bit about AI. And I love that you shared that, like, once this company had worked with you and they met you, they were able to easily move through the process 2 more times with the following hurricanes that came. So you're not just, what is that saying about, teaching someone to fish or
oh yeah,
fishing
give
for
a man
them,
a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
And now that with your help going forward, but now they have the tools to know, okay, once something happens, they know exactly where to go, and the process is easy. And that relieves the stress that comes along with that uncertainty of like, are we going to keep our doors open or not? They know that they've got the tools in hand now to move forward. So yeah, I love what you guys are doing. So let's talk AI, because AI is hot topic in all the world right now. It doesn't matter what industry or sector you're in. So how are you leveraging AI to streamline or enhance the disaster recovering and funding process? And what are the biggest efficiencies that you're seeing as far as like gains are going?
Sure. Well, I'll start by saying I am very biased because I am a complete AI nerd. I play with AI toys all the time. So being president of the company, my role is more so specifically around marketing and tech. So that's my world. I love it. How we utilize AI. I mean, AI is great for doing a lot of administrative tasks because a lot of our work does involve just underwriting. It's a lot of underwriting, pre-underwriting work, I should say. So using AI, we're able to just aggregate anonymously. So it's not like we're like, hey, this business has this, this, and this. No, here's the situation. They're going through this and this. If I have this and they have this much profit, they have this drop in revenue, what does this look like on a go forward basis? How do I fill this form out? We're able to take in mass amounts of data, financial data, and analyze it much faster than we would have before to make the process of actually getting everything to the SBA super, super simple, super, super quick.
Okay.
And we also utilize it on the marketing side as well. So largely all of our marketing is automated at this point. When it comes to we put together our ads usually manually, but even then, some of the ad copy that we've created is just an amalgamation of what we've taught the AI we want it to sound like, we want it to look like. Here's the target audience, here's how they think, here's what they really want, here's the situation they're going through. We're able to create that message for them. And then we have our entire follow-up sequence automated from there. So AI has been a very pivotal part of our business. And one use case that has helped tremendously is that because we are in the disaster recovery space, we get tons and tons of calls, mostly from individuals. And we don't really have services that help individuals, which is, we want to help, we do, but we also have to stay true to what we had started to do. And because there are so many other avenues for individuals to go down, there's nothing for businesses. That's why we stay in our lane. But because of that, we get inundated with calls. And it got to a point, we're a small team. It's a lean team. We have 4 here and 1 in like the Tampa area, and then we have a VA in the Philippines. Very small team, and we're covering a very big footprint. We go national, so you kind of have to have a lot of AI and automation there to be able to do that. Yeah. But in order to handle all of these calls, what we started to use was the AI kind of voice agents, right? So the AI agent is able to actually take in individuals, be like, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Rebecca," is what we called her. "My name is Rebecca. Tell me a little bit about your situation." And when it first came out, like the voice AI stuff, it was very clunky, robotic, bleh, not great. It has improved significantly to where it's not designed to replace the human, but it's more so designed to be a guide, right? So it's there to be like, okay, well, here is your situation. Here's everything. I understand it. Your best option is not to speak with us. It's to speak to these people. So we're not going to waste your time. Or, okay, here's the situation. I'm going to get you in contact with one of our representatives right now because that's exactly what you need. So it's actually able to make decisions based on what you've taught it, right? Mm-hmm. So we've been able to use that, and it's because at one point we were getting hundreds of calls a day when we were kind of fine-tuning our marketing in the beginning. It was chaos. But it was able to get us to a point where instead of missing hundreds of calls a day, we've reduced the amount of calls we get because now we've actually filtered who needs our help and who doesn't. And where do we actually need to point them in the right direction? So that's been a game changer in utilizing AI in our business.
And that I love that you're doing that because you're now helping the people, because everybody's calling and they could talk to a human, which would be challenging for you all as a lean team, but it's also not going to benefit them because if you're not the right fit for their needs. So you're able to say like, hey, listen, we'd love to talk to you, but we're not the right person. So instead of us putting you with somebody and wasting your time, we're going to send you here. This is who you should talk with, which is fantastic. And you don't need a human to do that. The AI is smart enough. And like you said, it was clunky. It used to be clunky back in the day. Yeah. And it's getting better. And it's getting, because even we used to be able to tell when it's AI and not AI, or we could always tell it was AI or human. Now it's getting a little tricky because I've been on some and I'm like, that was AI. I was blown away.
Oh yeah. No, it's even with some of the videos you see on social media. I mean, I don't really have social media on my phone. I keep it off because if I have it on there, I'll be on there all day. So I took it off. So I have it on my computer. So if I ever do want to have, my doom scroll sesh, I'll go on there and there'll be a video of like, oh, that's a great video. And then it gets to a point in the video where they're like blending a steak and it's like, that, you can't do that. I did not realize this whole video is AI.
Yeah.
It's getting scary.
Yeah, there's still glitches. There's still glitches. I think with video you can tell more, but the AI, the call centers and the AI technology, I don't know if you call it, agents mm-hmm. or SDRs and things like that. Yeah, they're getting much and much better. So just in the last 6 months, it's tremendously gotten better, improved, and I can't imagine what it's going to look like 6 months from now. So I think you're not going to be able to tell at all in 6 months. And we're kind of playing with that on our end too, a little bit, with our clients and what we're seeing. Unfortunately, it's not stopping. So we have to embrace it, right? Which is what you've done. You're like, how do we embrace this to where we can make it most efficient for us to keep our team lean and efficient and effective, and also be able to serve our people efficiently and effectively for their highest and best interest. Let's talk. You brought up marketing and you handle that piece as the president of the company. So let's talk a little bit about that. As far as like you getting in front of these businesses, you had mentioned that with one, you happened to be at an event together, which was nice and easy and peasy, and you got to like share what you do and it worked, but you can't do that all the time. So how are you getting visible? How are you, and you gave us a little glimpse of it, but if we could dive into that more, how are you getting in front of these companies? Let them know like, hey, we're here to help.
Absolutely. So one of our main channels in which we've been able to get in front of people has been paid ads. So we do a lot of advertising on Facebook, Instagram. We do Google ads. We recently got into YouTube ads. So like we are actively paying for advertising. We also create a lot of organic content, whether that's on LinkedIn and Facebook as written posts or videos on TikTok and Instagram or YouTube, like the short videos. We've done a couple of long form videos as well for YouTube. So we do have an effort to put out organic content as well. Most of it really comes from the paid advertising angle for our inbound leads.
Okay. And you're national. So you all can help any state going through, any area going through a disaster.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's not just Florida. Okay.
Yeah, so we've helped companies from the wildfires out in California to the tornadoes in the Midwest. We actively have advertising going out to Texas right now because of the flooding that happened. And then North Carolina is also experiencing some flooding from the tropical storm that went through there. So we're advertising there. So we're all over. And that's one of the beauties of the kind of the new age of business, especially when leveraging AI, is that you don't really have to be there. It's preferable to be there. So like one of our plans is to grow and expand to the point where we can send people out to the different disaster zones. So that way that there's a person there you can talk to and relate to and share some empathy and love with. But until you're into that point, being able to have everything digital and remote is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you next is like, what's next for you all? What are your big goals for the next 12 months? I know you're running a lean team, like you shared. So is that one of your goals to grow in some capacity? And what else do you see for you guys?
Yeah, so that's definitely one avenue we want to grow in. We also have a public adjusting arm. So are you familiar with public adjusters?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, being in Florida, I am, because we have roofs.
Exactly.
And tornadoes and hurricanes. So yeah, I've had a public adjuster at my home at one point. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So I mean, because it's wild how many people I talk to who have no idea, right? Because they think, oh, I've got an insurance company, I've got my insurance plan, that's my adjuster. No. That's the insurance adjuster. There's the public adjuster that's there on your behalf, not the insurance adjuster. So we do have the public adjusting arm as well. That we have a relationship with a international insurance company called WorldClaim. We do have that relationship to build out from mainly national. We're not going to go international yet. Maybe one day. But being able to build out the adjusting arm nationally, so we have people on the feet on the street everywhere, that's one of our big goals. And then obviously being able to send some of our representatives out, specific ERC for the actual funding part. We can send people out to different disasters. That's a goal. But I'd say one of the biggest goals that we have right now is we do have an app in development where I won't give too much away, but it's essentially going to cover every single part of the disaster preparation and recovery process, to where you're going to be able to log all your valuables within this app. So that way you can have a smoother conversation with your insurance company. You're going to be able to see kind of flood maps and zones to be able to understand what your specific evacuation route should be if a disaster is coming your way. And then, hundreds of more features integrated within that are going to be able to make the actual process of disaster preparation and recovery significantly smoother, not only saving all of these businesses and these individuals time and money, but local governments tons of time and money as well. So it's a big value add, big project we're taking on. So that's one of our big goals right now, is developing that app over time.
Amazing. So let's talk about challenges. What challenges have you faced as far as like getting your message out there and growing? Tell us how long you all have been around. It's been a few years now, and what's been working for you? You said paid ads is one thing, but what's been working for you? Maybe things that you've tried that haven't worked for you, as far as you're making sure that you're getting that message out there and you're able to help more people and also grow the organization.
Right. So yeah, some of the things that we've been able to do to get our message out there, brand out there as well, that haven't worked super great. We have done magazine ads. Southwest Florida is a very interesting part of the country because you have coupon books that are crushing it, which is not really a thing anywhere else. So like it's kind of like 20 to 30 years behind almost. So you're able to kind of capitalize on some of those advertising structures. So we have tried some of those, the paper, the coupon books. We have tried the magazines. We've tried all these different things. Haven't worked out too well for us. And I think what's the challenge with us when it comes to the business is that we're very much a just-in-time kind of service, right? And so people don't think about the disasters because they're like, what's the likelihood that that's going to happen to me? Well, actually, technically, there's a 1 in 10 chance it's going to happen to you any given year based on the SBA stats, but I digress. But most people are like, oh, that'll never happen to me. I'll never get flooded out from a hurricane. A tornado will never blow my building away. A fire's never going to burn down all my paperwork. There's no way. And so being able to communicate that to an individual, like, hey, yeah, this is really important. And then a lot of the services that we do, which we're paid for, are on the back end of a disaster. So on one hand, it's educating the consumer on like, this is very, very important for you to think about right now and always. And then also communicating with the consumer on the back end, because it's not just a matter of having a business sales conversation. It is a very empathetic driven conversation because you have people, some of the stories that I've heard, I don't do all the calls anymore because honestly, I just don't have the stomach for it. Some of the calls that I hear from these people, like, oh, it flooded and I got the flesh eating bacteria, or oh, one of my family members is like mentally not good because of this, and this, and had to, go somewhere. It's just like some of the stories you hear are insane. So you have to really come from a place of empathy much more than anything. And being able to teach that to the average person can be tough. And it's going through the fire that kind of teaches you that empathy of learning to be there, to see them, to hear them, to understand their situation and not let them know like, hey, everything's going to be okay. So it's not just a sales conversation, it's a therapy session. So it becomes this whole process of there's a lot of connection that needs to happen. So it's a very niche business to be in. Very niche solutions, very niche conversations. So we've kind of been creating our own playbook throughout because a lot of these different playbooks we see from other industries kind of work, but kind of don't. So it's very different.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see how everything is a little different for you, like on the quote unquote sales side, because you are a business, right? You're not a not-for-profit, you're a business and you need to bring in revenue in order to keep the doors open. And the more revenue you bring in, the more you can help more people, right? And because you can put more boots on the ground, which is one of the goals. So it's kind of like a catch-22, but at the same time, it's not a typical sales call where it's like, okay, the salesperson knows their goal. The goal is this. And we also want to make sure it's a fit for both parties, but the goal is this. But on the flip side, you're hearing stories of that are just traumatic. And you're hearing, I'm sure, the emotion on the other side of it. And for both parties, them and you, your people, I can imagine it's draining, right?
Oh, yeah.
Emotionally and mentally. Yeah. Yeah. So you have special people definitely on your team because like you
Very,
said,
very
not
special
everybody
people.
can handle that. So
yeah, I lasted about a week. So all props to them.
You got
Give me the
special
computer, I'll do the back end nerd stuff. I got that.
So if I could give you a magic wand, Chase, and you could take a one issue that you might be working through right now, what would it be and why that you could just go poof?
Well, it would be a heck of a magic wand, but being able to speed up the government would be great. Because a lot of these, especially with a lot of these different programs I had mentioned before, some of these businesses are taking 9 to 12 months to go through the EIADL alone, not to mention the amount of time it actually takes for them to get paid out from a program.
Right.
So it's a long process for these businesses to have to get the funding that they need. And it really comes down to the bureaucratic side of things. Because I mean, the private side, bing, bang, boom, we're good to go. Let's get it done. But the amount of, and I understand, I get it, but the amount of checks and balances on the governmental side to be able to get funds distributed to those who need it most is brutal, to say the least. I mean, we have some clients that we had helped with I'm not sure if you're familiar, the Employee Retention Tax Credit Program. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but
Okay.
tell us more because I'm sure
Yeah.
there's people that aren't familiar.
Sure. So it was a tax credit program from the COVID era, right? So essentially during COVID, there were two kind of major programs. There was the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, which was a loan to businesses to cover payroll. And the ERTC was a tax credit to businesses that kept their employees on payroll during COVID. You couldn't double dip. So if you took some money from PPP and then you also got the ERTC, whatever the PPP was, not dollar for dollar, but that would get deducted from ERC. So we did help some companies through that ERTC process, and we still have clients. It's been a year and a half, and they still haven't been paid out. Luckily they were luckily for those ones, they were the bigger clients that we had, so they had some cash on hand. They could survive. They were fine. And then luckily all of the smaller clients, they did get payouts a little bit quicker. But even then, for them, it was like 9 to 12 months, purely on a bureaucratic side. Everything that we have to do on our end, we're done within hours, if not days. Right. So, but it's if you had a magic wand to speed up the government, I would love you forever.
We'll work on that. We'll work
Perfect.
on that. If any of you out there listening have a magic wand to speed up the government or an in, let us know. Send them Chase's way, which now we're going to tell you how you can reach Chase. So Chase, can you let us know how people can connect with you, learn more about what you all do, and maybe how they can help?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can visit us at www.economicrecoverycenter.com. It's a long one, so I know you have show notes, so you just click on. So you can go there to just read more about us and what we do, a little bit about our story, some of the services we offer. And then if you have any questions for me specifically, I'm active on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I think my name's just Chase Henderson or Chase Paceris Henderson, one of the two. You can find me on there. I'm more than happy to answer any and all questions about disaster recovery that I can, or AI, because I'm an AI junkie. So either one.
He geeks out on AI. So if you want to chat AI, he's your guy. He'll be happy to geek out a little bit with you on that. So go to economicrecoverycenter.com. We will definitely, as Chase said, have all of Chase's information, more about him with his bio, all the good stuff in the show notes. So if you're driving, no worries. But I will ask all of you who are listening to please share, because this is an amazing mission. It's an incredible company. They are out doing great things in the world, trying to help people and more businesses stay open, which is one of the reasons we launched this podcast. So our mission works hand in hand, and we want to see these businesses thrive. Just because people go through trauma, they're already losing their homes, or they go through years of recovery with their homes. We need them to keep their businesses open. We don't need them losing that as well. Some people feel like they lose everything, and when they don't know that there's help out there, and there's help. So we don't know when tragedy is going to strike, right? Like you said, 1 in 10 in every year, 1 in 10 are going to be affected. So you could be affected. So our goal is to make sure that we're keeping them top of mind, so if you're listening to us or watching Chase and I on YouTube, thank you. Please hit that subscribe button. This allows us to notify you when we have more amazing guests like Chase with their mission that we can share with you, and you can help us share it out with the world. If you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms, please share Chase and Economic Recovery Center with your friends, with your family. Let them know, other business owners, that this is available. They may not need it today, but they might need it tomorrow. And by letting you get ahead of the ball and sharing this out there, they will be top of mind when something strikes. If you hear somebody going through something and people in the area, feel free to share it on social media. Let people know publicly that this resource is available to help them. Because unfortunately, people just don't know, and they try to do it alone, and we struggle when we do things alone. We're better together. So let's share. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox with that one now. But I'm really passionate about what you do. I didn't know about what you did before meeting you, so I'm definitely going to do my part in sharing you, because I'm a fellow Floridian. I know what we go through, and my heart is breaking for those in Texas and those in North Carolina and people that went through the California fires. I had somebody on our podcast that was going through that, and she's in a hotel for the next 2 years while her house is being rebuilt. So this is affecting people all over the country and all over the world. You are nationwide, so let's make sure that people out there in this country are getting the help that they need. What else can I I promised y'all a gift, so we're going to give it to you. If you're looking to grow your visibility, Chase has shared what works for him. He does paid advertising, and there's a lot of different ways of getting, being seen. If you're looking for some outside the box strategies and you feel like you're doing all the things and it's just not sticking, you're not getting in front of your ideal client, your people that you need to be in front of to serve, then go download our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. Chase, is there anything that you'd like to share before we wrap that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on?
No, I think we covered just about everything. We're very close to solving all the world's problems.
I love it. We're so close. We just need more people to know about it, right? Absolutely. And know about you. So yeah, go to economicrecoverycenter.com, go visit Chase on LinkedIn, go chat with them about, support, how you can help. How can you help them with their efforts, and go chat about AI. He'll geek out with you. So
love it.
Thank you, Chase, for being here today. Thank you for listening to us on the podcast today. And we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.
Thank you, Heidi. Y'all take care.